Hey everybody, and welcome back to the vlog. Hey guys, wow, this is a news breaking video. News breaking, even though the news happened almost a half a century ago. But before we get into it, I wanna talk about something that disturbs me, which are these trolls. And this guy right here, Mr. Batter. Check out these two comments that he made. You know, I just wish he was in front of me when he said that. But that's okay. And I'm all about our First Amendment. Like most people would take it down, but I'm going to leave it up. I'm going to mention his phony name. We all know he couldn't possibly have a name like Batters. Batters, like what? The cake batter? I don't know. So this is why I'm going to, before we get into the real story, this is what I'm going to do. For all you people that might think I'm maybe even a little full of crap, let's go to all the news articles. Well, it's not all the news articles, but the ones that are going to make a difference. And before I even do that, let's talk about NYC Crime Spot. Now, the guy that runs that is a guy by the name of Brett. We became very friendly. I consider him my friend. And Brett didn't put me on his channel before he, how do you say it, vetted, before he vetted me. And let's talk about that. How far back in time did Brett go? Over 60 years. Yup. He pulled this article out of the New York Daily News. Boom, right here. He pulled that out. With me and my mom, at my age I was 9 years old. It was about the CYO camp where they took all the kids from the South Bronx, like 450 kids from the South Bronx, and placed them in like little foster care places in the country so we could see the country. And so the newspaper guy from the Daily News, this was in the centerfold of the Daily News, picked out my mom, and I got on the bus and she handed me the toy. So it'll just give you an idea on just how far back he went before he was comfortable enough to put me on his show, and that he was comfortable enough knowing that I wasn't full of crap, even just a little bit. And when you're full of crap, when you tell stories, you're bound to slip up. And in the main story about Nino Gaggi is when I slipped up, but it wasn't for a lie. I just said one word, but we're going to get back to that. So now let's look at this. Let's look at some of these newspaper articles. Burton Roberts at that time was the head of the Bronx District Attorney's Office. And when I got indicted on attempted murder of a police officer in a car chase that lasted 98 miles from New York City, from the Bronx to the Catskill Mountains, and they found out I had 77 speeding tickets, well, they were going to pass a law under my name, and here it is right here. Look what he did. All of these articles will be in the link in the description below so you guys can read them. Okay, let's look at some more headlines. Oh, I know, the time I robbed a bank on 2nd Avenue and 15th Street. Look at that, New York Times, October 26, 1976. Bang, how about that? How about that, Mr. Batters? Batters? Like the batter. Let's look at that one. Okay, so if that ain't enough, let's see, when I worked the Joel Rifkin case, the most prolific serial killer in New York's history. Let's look at that headline. Boom, right there. Victim's pal socks Joel. Yep, I fired his ass up, is what I did. Caught him in the act of murdering my girlfriend. And he wound up doing it. So God may have mercy on her soul. Let's look at that headline. And what the New York State Police did, that's another headline. Again, let's look at me on the Maury Povich Show, 1992. Boom, I'm right there. So I could go on and on and on, Mr. Batters. That's what I could do. I'm not, you know, and I'm just wondering how many other people are thinking this about me that's not writing comments. So I just wanted to prove to you guys, I'm not some Johnny-come-lately off the street. Not to mention, how about this book right here, the original. Bestseller, cop without a badge. Bestseller again in 2009. You know, I mean, I could just go on and on and on, blowing my own horn. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I don't want any of my viewers, even the trolls, to think for 1 second I'm some Johnny-come-lately off the street just making up a bunch of bullcrap stories. Now, on with the breaking news. Breaking news. Kevin Marr steals Nino Gaggi's, is that his name? Gaggi? Fucking another stupid name I can't pronounce. Car. Yep. And this is how we found out that in the last video, look at this video right here. Go back to that video and watch it carefully. I slip. The slip of the tongue. Like I was telling you about liars, how they slip. Well, this time I wasn't a liar. I totally describe how I stole the car, what the setup was, where the car was, where the staircase was leading up to the mafia guy's house. Now, let me stop there. Joey and Roy told me that the big shot mob guy was the guy with the Corvette. All right? That didn't turn out to be true. I found out 50 years later that the first car I stole was Nino Gaggi's car that Roy sold to him. Didn't tell him it was a tag job, and now I had to take it back. Look at the last video. You'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, I'm describing the street. I'm describing where Roy was, way down on the other side of the intersection, parked double parked with a pair of friggin' binoculars that must have been this big. I don't know, did he buy them specifically for this thing? I don't know. So he's down the block. I steal the car. Look at the other video. Anyway, so as I'm describing the setup, I slipped. And this is the word, this is the name that I used right here. Only one word right here. Listen. Going to Brooklyn. So this place was on I think it was Cropsey Avenue, not too far from the Verrazano Bridge. That's right, Cropsey. It was Cropsey Avenue, Cropsey Road. It was a two-way street. Everything the way I described it was dead on. The first call I get from it was from Brett, NYC Crime Spot. This can't be possible. It don't sound right. That's Nino Gaggi's lived on Cropsey, and it was 1929 Cropsey Avenue. Boom, and he sends me the picture. So what is the picture depicts? The picture depicts exactly how I described it. The car's in the driveway. The bumper, the front bumper is even with the staircase that went up. The picture window is right there. The door is right there. The staircase is right there. So, unlike the troll telling everyone that it's 100% that I'm bullcrap, I'm full of crap, I'm not going to say it's 100% that was Nino Gaggi. So I'm going to say it's 99.9. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say. But do the math. Why would Roy tell me I'm going to rob a mob guy's car, and he's a mob guy, and I get there, and then when I saw the picture of the house, let's look at it again. That's exactly the way I described it in the first video. Remember when I slipped and went, Cropsey, I think it was Cropsey. Well, two of our viewers that read Murder Machine, that street is in the book. And of course, Brett that did all the background and everything on me. And he did a video on Roy Gaggi, and that was that car. When Brett sent me that photograph and I looked at it, I went back 50 years. I remember every brick. I remember the door, the garage door. It had to be that. So the guy that came down after I pulled away, so then after I pulled away, the owner came out in his underwear wielding a bat. and he's coming after me. And I'm already in the street by this time, and they're running, and I take off. The whole house comes out. Guys are getting into car. I think he even threw the bat at me. I was gone, and I raced past Roy. Roy sees the whole thing unfold on his binoculars. Anyway, I thought this was unbelievable. So let me finish the story now. So the other story about the other car that I had to steal was, what's the word? Mundane? Is that right? Mundane. It was a mundane story. It was, so Roy didn't want me to make noise with the slide hammer because the other car, same exact car, the other car was parked in the guy's driveway as well. So he didn't want to make me have me making a lot of noise. So he somehow finagled that guy to give him the keys. Like 2 weeks later, he gives me the keys. I go up, start the car up, take the car to another location in Queens, chisel out the VIN number. I did the same thing. I did it, and of course the third car was the. They told me that the third car, the Corvette, was the car with the big boss, but that was BS. Joey, Joey BS me. They want, and it only makes sense. They wanted me to get the big guy's car first, and that's what I didn't know. I thought it was like the little guy. I didn't know it was like the big guy, who later would turn out to be Nino Gaggi in 2023. Now, if this is not a great story, I don't know what is. So I don't know what is. I mean, then I might as well just throw the whole thing in now, because that was a pretty funny story, especially when you get to figure out there's more to it, uncovering who it was a half a century later. So everyone else, you know, I made the comment about the troll in the beginning of the video, but forget about him. If you guys take the time and look at all the wonderful comments I get, even from my home country, Ireland. I got one today. They're all loving the stories. So anyway, went out 2 days before Christmas. Tomorrow, December 24th, will be my mom's, there she is again, my mom's 90th birthday, if she was still with us. She passed away in 2004. And every time around Christmas time, I get a little melancholy thinking about my mom. But anyway, I hope you guys found this interesting. I sure as hell did. Thank you so much, and God bless.